Hello, everyone. I'm Sheldon Barlett Rumor, and this is it. Welcome back to This Is It TV. I'm ready to learn. I know you guys are too. It's always a pleasure. I would love for our next guest to reintroduce himself, his first and last name, and all he's up to.
Sheldon, I'm Louis Bezich, men's health advocate, contributing writer to phillyvoice.com, and the author of Crack the Code, 10 Proven Secrets that motivate, motivate healthy behavior and inspire fulfillment in men over 50. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so good. I always feel so much better when we have these conversations. We're lucky enough. I know that a lot of you that are watching watch at various times of the day, but whenever Lewis and I chat, it's typically in the morning. And so after I talk to him, I just always feel better. So I'm looking forward to this morning as well. What are we chatting about today?
Well, Sheldon, I'm going to start by asking, have you ever lost your keys? Maybe misplaced your glasses?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What's in your
Uh-huh.
mind when that happens?
Yeah.
Well, if you're like a lot of folks that are, aging as we all are, start to think, am I losing it or whatever? And it's a common fear that we all have that some form of cognitive impairment or even dementia, the most frequently referenced one is Alzheimer's disease, really is a fear amongst aging adults worldwide, particularly here in the U.S. And it's a concern. But the good news is that there is recent research out, and it really reinforces prior research, which is always good to find, that guess what you can do to reduce the risk of dementia and cognitive impairment?
Right.
Well, lead a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
There's new research that came out this summer from the UK that indicated that researchers have identified 14 what they call modifiable factors that can mitigate or reduce the risk or that have the impact of reducing the risk on dementia. And among those modifiable factors is physical activity, is a healthy lifestyle, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Other lifestyle-based disease states that if you can
Sure.
modify them will really make an impact on reducing the risk of dementia.
Right. I think that I mean, as we mentioned before we started recording, I've had these conversations. The majority of the folks in my life are part of the sandwich generation, right? We're not only dealing with our children and what's going on in our household, but we're also dealing with our parents who are maturing, let's say. My mother doesn't want to be called elderly ever in her life, but ultimately she's maturing, she likes to say. And these conversations are hard when we're talking about cognitive issues. We're talking about things that in some cases seem inevitable or some cases seem unavoidable, but it seems that there are some practical things that folks can do to lessen the factors or to ensure that we try to avoid them. Obviously various things are going to happen and various aging definitely takes place, but I love this conversation about how we can be preventative, at least think about things we can do now in order to ensure that our cognitive function stays with us for as long as possible.
Yes, and some of those factors I mentioned,
Yeah.
lifestyle, physical inactivity, but smoking, excessive
Mhm.
alcohol consumption, high
Yes.
cholesterol, obesity, all
Yeah.
these factors, if we can do something about that, and again, the researchers classify them as modifiable, can
Yeah.
really reduce the risk. So again, we find that like in heart disease,
Sure.
in obesity, in
Sure.
diabetes, other diseases that are lifestyle influence, as they say, it can make a big difference. So there is hope out there. And again, because it's all the surveys and the research shows that it really is a concern among adults in the world, not alone in the U.S.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And I think, the key things that we've always talked about here on the show is obviously staying active, doing our best to stay active, surrounding ourselves with friends, putting things on like do you find that all of those factors are key in this as well?
Yeah, it's about providing, as we always talk about, underlying everything is the motivation to stay healthy,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
rationale to do so. So,
Yeah.
and particularly this time of year, we're getting the Christmas holidays now where our calendars seem to fill up with activities. Well, it's good to do that year round, have
Yeah.
some purpose and some meaning so that we have a rationale, a reason to want to live healthy and enjoy what we can in this
Yeah.
world.
Oh, I think it's so good. But I think that more and more, I love that you brought up this topic because more and more, we see it happening. Those caregivers, let's really be quite honest as it relates to it, the caregivers, it takes a toll. And there's not so many support systems or even conversations that happen about it on a regular basis. It's one of those quiet things. What do we, how is your mother? How is mom? Those kinds of scenarios. But it is a difficult thing to watch individuals that you love that were so familiar, right? Had so many wonderful memories with and begin to lose that in
Yeah.
that way.
We talk about the positive motivations, but as you and I were talking before we hit the record button today, we both had experiences in our own lives, me with my 94-year-old mother who is suffering from dementia. It's motivation of a negative sense that I don't want to have to be like that. If there's anything in this world I can do to fight off that, albeit she's well into her 90s, I want to do that. So I
Yeah,
leave there, it's always a tough conversation, but
sure.
it's motivating at the same time to say, hey, look, yet another reason to
Yeah.
lead a healthy lifestyle and to make those tough decisions and to be disciplined, which it takes.
Absolutely, absolutely. You started the conversation with you lost your phone. You don't know exactly where your glasses are. Sometimes I'm on the phone looking for my phone, which is an issue in and of itself. But ultimately, I think that, as we get older, just bringing this to mind and not blowing it off as just, oh, I'm always forgetful. Mom's always forgetful. She always forgets things, really paying attention to those things. But again, as we're taking care of individuals that are going through it, it gives us motivation to be able to say, okay, what are we going to do in our lives to ensure that we're moving in the right direction?
Yeah. And the other real important message is that while the researchers tell us that we can modify things, also it's not inevitable that everybody gets cognitive impairment or experiences cognitive impairment or gets dementia or Alzheimer. It's not a fait accompli. Only a small percentage of the population does indeed get that.
Yeah.
But there's the fear is much greater than the actual situation. But again, if there's modifiable factors that can also help with heart disease and cancer and everything else, why not?
Why not? Why not? Okay, so let's tackle those modifying factors. Let's make sure we're all moving in the right direction to avoid or at least lessen, the potential of being in this situation. My darling friend, you always provide us with proper perspective and at least get me going for the morning. I sure believe that everybody who's watching, regardless of the time of day, is feeling the same. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to follow, fan, and like you, where do they find that information?
They can get me on social media at Louis Bezich and on my website, louisbezich.com. You'll see what's going on in my world of healthy behavior.
Oh, I love it. Okay. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's exactly what I need when I need it. He will do the same for all of you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Sure. And I'm going to go get my coffee, which is what I need right now.
Exactly, exactly. I'll be on my second cup from all of us here at This Is It TV. I'm Sheldon Barlett Rumor, and we will see you soon. Take care.